everybody. Welcome to Storytime with Miss April. I'm Miss April. Thank you so much for joining me for another Storytime adventure. Today we are going to read this book, Ada Twist Scientist by Andrea Beaty, illustrated by David Roberts. And before we get started, I do want to tell you a little bit more about this book. So this book is a part of a series of books where the kids are all in the same class and they do STEM together. So if you don't know what STEM is, it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And there are so many careers in STEM for grown-ups. So when these kids were in school, they started learning about that and being encouraged by their teacher, Mrs. Greer. So Ada Twist Scientist is a great start to that series. I believe there are 5 books now. Definitely get them from your local library. And if you enjoy these picture books and you become a chapter book reader, which I know all of you will, there's actually a chapter book series that features these students as they've grown up. Thank you again for joining me. We are going to start with our opening song, which is The More We Get Together. And if you've been coming to Miss Storytime with Miss April for a while, you already know that we do sign language with this. But if you're new to our Storytime, welcome. We're going to show you how to do the signs. So we do 3 signs when we sing this song. And the first we do is more. We take our hands, make them like this. They sort of look like 2 beaks. And then we touch them together. This is the sign for more. Together, we take our fists, our little thumbs are popped up a little bit, and we stir up hot, and that is together. And the third sign we do is happy. We take our hand flat over our chest, and we rub up and down, and that is happy. So more, together, and happy. And here's our song. The more we get together, 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 the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. Good job, everybody. Thank you so much for singing our gathering song with me. We are going to read Ada Twist Scientist. And this book, like I said, it's written by Andrea Beaty and illustrated by David Roberts. Here we go. Ada Marie said not a word to the age until she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and make her big break with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day, chasing each sound and sight, and didn't slow down till she conked out at night. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and simply asked, "Why?" Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up inside your nose? She started with why and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all of the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy that first day of spring testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing when a horrible stench whacked her right in her nose. A pungent aroma that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of this terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start, where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie! The stink struck her again just like that. Hypothesis 2. It's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. That test was a flop. She started again, but her parents said, "Stop!" Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now by the time we count to 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said, no. What? Ada queried. Her father said, go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat and she sat and she sat and she thought about science and stew and the cat and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes the problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2. And each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was a great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter inside as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, we'll figure it out. And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has passion and heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asked lots of questions. How could she resist? It's at in the heart of a young scientist. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question. And someday, who knows? The end. I hope you really enjoyed that story. I did tell you that this is a series, and this is another one of the characters. And then we've got another one here. They have their own book. So this is Rosie Revere, and this is Gregory Peck, Architect. So those are 2 of the other characters in this book series, and they're all in Miss Greer's craft class in grade 2. All right, so we are going to end today with Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. But after we do Zoom, 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 stick around in this video because we are going to do a little science experiment where we are going to make invisible ink and then decode the message. Basic chemistry, and I will explain that experiment after we do Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. So let's all get our Zoom hands going, and here we go. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Zoom, 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 we're going very soon. If you want to take the trip, climb aboard my rocket ship. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! Thank you you everybody for joining me. Stick around for our science experiment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this. Follow us. We're on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining me for Storytime with Miss April. I'm Miss April. Have a good day. Bye. Okay, everybody, so as promised, since we just read Ada to a Scientist, we are going to do a science experiment. So I have my lab coat on today so we can do some science. And I have two fellow scientists here with me today. I have James. Say hi.
Hi.
And I have Sam.
Hi.
And what are we making today?
Invisible ink!
We are going to make invisible ink, and then we are going to activate that invisible ink so you can see a hidden message or picture. So you can actually make this with things that you have around the house. You will need baking soda, water, and concentrated grape fruit punch, grape juice. It helps if this grape...
Fruit punch?
I know, right? It helps if the grape juice has been sitting out for a little bit so that it has a juice to it and is not completely frozen. And of course, we have a measuring spoon and we've got a spoon to mix. You will need paintbrushes and water. And paper. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. We need paper, right? Yeah. All right. So when you make this, I'm going to put a link below to an article that you can visit, which will give you the specific measurements. But it's really more important that it's equal parts baking soda to water. So however much water you have is how much baking soda you need. And how much water did we have in here? Do you remember?
1/4.
1/4 of a cup. So we have a 1/4 of a cup measuring spoon. And we are going to mix together our baking soda and water.
What should we do?
We're just going to pour it in there, and then we'll pour it together. And we made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay.
It turned into milk.
Will you give it a spoon? It is not milk, but it looks milky. That's a good observation. That's what we do in science. We make observations.
Is it my turn yet?
Yeah, you can have a turn stirring too. Can you let Sam have a turn stirring? Thank you, guys.
Let's hope.
All right, that looks good. Okay, perfect. All right, so why this experiment works. So baking soda and water is a base. When we do chemistry, there are things called acids and there are bases, and they cancel each other out when they are mixed together. This is our base, and this is our acid. So we're going to take a few moments, and this will be sped up so you can really see us painting, but do this on your own, okay? So I'm going to give everybody a piece of paper, and we are all going to have a paintbrush, and we are going to make our own design. Okay, so we have our secret messages here, and now we have an important step. We need to let the papers dry so that we can activate them and reveal the secret messages. So this may take a little bit of time depending on how thick your paper is and how much water was on your brushes, and we'll be back once ours are dry. So our secret messages have dried, and the real fun about this invisible ink is trading papers with somebody else and revealing your secret message. So I'm going to give this one to James. James, going to give yours to Sam. Sam, I'll take yours. Oh, whoops. Okay. All right. We have taken the grape juice out of the container, and it is now in here. So this is what we're going to do, boys. We're going to dip our paintbrushes into the grape juice, and you're going to reveal the hidden message by running across.
I'm going to do it too.
Where we painted earlier.
Across?
And it will reveal the hidden message using the catalyst, the activator, the acid that's the grape juice. Four pictures doing our science experiment using baking soda and water as a base.
I see it.
and using grape juice.
It's just a little hidden under the
It is. And using grape juice as our acid, our catalyst, our activator.
I see it.
And you did. So thank you all so much for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this channel for more great videos. We have Storytime videos every Tuesday. Can you guys thank them for coming and watching?
Thank you.
Bye.